Feel like maybe Blake smelled his kindness, mistook it for weakness, and tried to take advantage and take power, so.
Wow.
Blake Lively is spiraling after one of her long-silenced victims finally decided enough was enough and aired out her pathetic behavior.
60 Minutes piece, it really concludes with the fact that this was a smear campaign.
Because, let's get this straight, Blake's never been the victim. The real casualties are the people who had to actually work with her.
Can't prepare for what she doesn't know they have, and again, they have a...
And now the journalist she once tried to publicly humiliate is back, and this time he's not playing nice. The internet never forgets, and on April 14th, 2025, it reminded everyone in the form of Peter Kiefer, the Hollywood reporter-writer who lives rent-free in Blake's head. Yes, the same Peter she tried to cancel in 2024 for daring to suggest Justin Baldoni's faith influenced It Ends With Us.
Hollywood reporter, his name is Peter Kiefer, and he wrote that article that actually Blake Lively hated and came after and said it was really a sexist piece that he had written about her when he talked about how Justin Baldoni's faith played a big part in on set.
Shocking, right? A director's personal values shaping his art, how dare he? But Blake treated it like a war crime, slapping on the sexist label as if she were accessorizing for the Met Gala.
If Justin was too huggy or whatever the heck, or said she was sexy, none of this warrants this. And you still have to atone for what you did.
Fast forward to this year's 60 Minutes Australia, where Peter popped up for all of 5 seconds, and Blake had a full-blown Kardashian-level meltdown. Not because he revealed anything new, he didn't, but simply because he existed. The man's brief cameo had her PR team scrambling like it was DEFCON 1. Did nobody explain to them how a documentary works?
Publicist and being a PR professional for over 20 years. I'm a huge believer of ethics.
And can we just appreciate how gloriously unbothered Peter Kiefer was? The man strolled in, repeated the same receipts he'd already published, and walked out like it was nothing. Meanwhile, Blake's PR team was reportedly spiraling like it was the Met Gala, and she showed up with no gown. Social media lost its mind. Reddit lit up faster than Ryan Reynolds launching another gin ad, and X, yes, we're still calling it that, dragged Blake through the digital gutter, demanding answers for the giant holes in her story.
Like we, as an audience, couldn't see what was happening and what she was saying, and we didn't agree with what she was saying, and people started talking about it on social media, and I think my interview with her is such a good example.
Because let's be real, if Blake's version of events was airtight, how does a 5-minute interview with one calm journalist unravel it this badly? Almost like she's terrified of the truth. But hey, what do I know? I'm just someone still wondering how Blake managed to hijack a film about domestic abuse and twist it into her own personal PR redemption saga.
60 Minutes piece, it really concludes with the fact that this was a smear campaign. Like this guy is saying that it's impossible that it wasn't, and they didn't interview anyone who said anything otherwise.
While Blake was busy spiraling, another voice cut through the noise, and it wasn't some A-list co-star or studio exec. It was Talia Spencer, a design team member. Not cast, not senior crew, just someone who quietly worked on the visuals. And yet her words landed harder than anything Blake has ever mumbled through a polished press release.
One of them was a woman. She's called Talia Spencer. She was actually working with Justin Baldoni on It Ends With Us, and she had nothing but good things to say about Justin Baldoni.
Talia walked into that 60-minute segment like a human reality check. Her words? I felt more comfortable being around Justin than a lot of film directors in my experience. That's it. One clean, simple line, and Blake's entire victim narrative crumbled like a stale macaron. You could practically hear her PR team screaming into their oat milk lattes.
In my opinion, I find it very hard to believe the allegations against.
And just to twist the knife, that one quote racked up over 3 million views on TikTok in under 36 hours. Organic reach, the kind you can't buy. Though let's be honest, Team Blake has probably tried. But Talia wasn't done. She flat out said Blake mistook Justin's kindness for weakness and tried to hijack the entire production.
The host asked her, did you ever feel uncomfortable around Justin Baldoni? And she said no.
I would say I felt more comfortable being around Justin than a lot of film directors in my experience.
Excuse me? That's not just shade, that's supervillain monologue territory. Yet it wasn't coming from a Marvel script, it was from a behind-the-scenes crew member. Talia also revealed Justin personally recruited her, pitching a vision rooted in empowering young women. Doesn't exactly sound like the cartoon villain Blake's PR machine has been desperately selling.
Employee from the movie It Ends With Us speaks out in support of Justin Baldoni for Australia's 60 Minutes.
And then came the nuclear moment. Talia openly accused Blake of seizing control and derailing the film's original purpose. A design team member said this on international television. That's bold. She basically called out a billion-dollar brand couple in Hollywood, knowing full well Blake's reps and WME were screenshotting her every move. No NDA on earth can muzzle that kind of truth.
He's willing to speak out when nobody else right now has.
Phil,
What do you make of the allegations and the complaints against him?
in my opinion, I find it very hard to believe the allegations against.
While Talia was dismantling Blake with calm precision, Peter Kafir was quietly savoring the last laugh. Let's not forget, this is the same journalist Blake tried to blacklist back in 2024. She slapped his article with the sexist label, fired off a passive-aggressive Instagram campaign, and even pushed publicists to ice him out. The result? His piece became one of the Hollywood Reporter's most read stories of the year. So no, Peter's career didn't tank. Yours might, Blake.
Work with a bunch of creepos. Justin was perfectly fine. And again, this is like all circumstantial stuff, right? Like, just to say someone felt fine didn't mean something else didn't happen. But it doesn't hurt Justin's case. It doesn't hurt his PR.
At this point, Peter represents everything Blake can't control. He doesn't shout. He doesn't clap back. He just shows up on 60 Minutes and restates the facts like a professor going over a syllabus. That alone sent Blake's image into freefall. People didn't even need the full segment. Just his 5-minute appearance was enough to spark hashtags like She Blake Exposed and Justice for Justin. That's what happens when you poke the internet bear you once thought was your bodyguard.
Showed a lot of Blake Lively's evidence, but they showed nothing from Justin Baldoni's side. It was just like Blake Lively accused him of this and that and showed the text messages that was in the New York Times.
The funniest part? Peter hasn't retracted a single word. He stood firm, receipts in hand, unmoved by Hollywood's golden girl trying to drag him. Imagine being called out by one of the most influential celebrities alive and still refusing to budge. That's a level of calm that could fix my sleep schedule. Meanwhile, Blake's team is frantically refreshing Twitter like their Wi-Fi bill depends on it. The energy is less documentary, more courtroom meltdown.
TMZ is now reporting, of course witnesses are staying anonymous. They're terrified of threats and bullying. Now this smells like Blake's PR team trying to spin why they're not coming.
Honestly, the whole thing screams high school drama. Like, you didn't invite me to your birthday, so I'm spreading rumors about your boyfriend. Except in this case, the boyfriend is a director, the birthday party is a film set, and the rumors are weaponized into a media campaign. Quick recap. Peter Kiefer shows up on TV, and suddenly, Blake's entire grip on the narrative slips through her manicured fingers.
A lot of comments that she puts in here that you're just like, why would you want to take over someone's movie? The outfits in this end are so out of touch. No, we don't want to watch bullies like Blake.
Then comes Talia Spencer, a literal non-celebrity, who delivers the line nobody in Hollywood dared to say out loud. Blake isn't a misunderstood genius. She's a control freak with a megaphone. And instead of using it to empower women like the movie was meant to, she used it to bury a man who was actually trying to create something meaningful.
Always want our work to have a meaningful impact. And a lot of us in film do it because we care. And to see it be overtaken by this was definitely a little bit sad.
This is a saga that's not ending anytime soon.
And the kicker? 60 Minutes Australia thought they were rolling out Blake's redemption arc. Bless their hearts. What they actually aired on April 14th, 2025 was less investigative journalism and more PR infomercial with mood lighting. Audiences weren't fooled. Fans dragged it as blatant propaganda, and honestly, I've seen TikTok fan cams with more journalistic integrity.
Witnesses are staying anonymous. They're terrified of threats and bullying. It's a very neutral and interesting piece.
So let's break down what actually aired. Blake's team finally got their golden chance to set the record straight. What did we get? A scrapbook of heavily curated texts, conveniently timed voice notes, and, surprise, zero response from Justin Baldoni. Not one email, not a voice memo, not even a blurry late-night screenshot. Basically, they aired Blake's Notes app and slapped a documentary label on it.
Just because of the way he is culturally with his religion. I want to go through some of these pieces because hear me out. Here it is. So from the outset, the feud's been framed as the newest chapter in Hollywood's ongoing fight for gender equality.
And then came the PR expert cameo. This part was comedy gold. He said, "If you mess up, the best thing you can do is own up to it. Now, Tell me that doesn't sound tailor-made for Blake. But the producers worked their editing magic and tried to spin it like he was scolding Justin. Please. The man was clearly shading her. But with the Frankenstein cut and paste job, it ended up giving early 2000s tabloid energy. And the kicker? Talia Spencer was still the only voice in the entire program even remotely questioning Blake's narrative. One person. Everyone else? Hand-picked yes men.
Maybe Blake smelled his kindness, mistook it for weakness, and tried to take advantage and take power. So,
Wow.
yeah.
So you believe Blake Lively wrestled control of the film?
I think she tried to, yeah.
And yet somehow, with all the bias tilted her way, Blake still managed to walk out of that episode looking worse. How do you fumble a redemption arc when the whole show is basically a paid commercial for you? Instead of clearing her name, she managed to pour gasoline on an internet scandal that was already dying down. The real plot twist? It didn't just make Blake look shady, it made the media look complicit. Lazy journalism, biased editing, zero cross-examination, no Justin. And yes, audiences noticed.
This one guy, the publicist that was interviewed, he said something that I thought was definitely aimed at Blake Lively, but then they edited it so it looked like it was aimed at Justin Bolton.
Reddit torched it immediately, calling the episode manipulative, embarrassing, and a straight-up waste of airtime. Hashtags like Bomber's 60 Minutes Fail started trending within hours. What was meant to be a PR rescue mission ended up being the match that reignited the bonfire. Instead of damage control, it was a masterclass in self-sabotage.
What do you think about this?
When you are faced with a crisis, if you did it or anything remotely to it, the biggest thing you can do and the most accepting thing in the court of public opinion is to own up to it.
And just when you thought this circus couldn't get messier, enter the troll farms. Yep, the episode brought on a digital warfare expert who basically said Blake's campaign checked all the boxes of an orchestrated smear job. Bot armies, fake accounts, coordinated hashtags, the whole 9 yards. Suddenly, this wasn't just celebrity drama. It was industrial-strength propaganda with Blake's fingerprints all over it.
Concluded that there was a PR smear campaign. They showed a lot of Blake Lively's evidence, but they showed nothing from Justin Baldoni's side.
According to the expert, bot-generated posts were almost certainly used to amplify hate against Justin. It's the oldest trick in the digital playbook. Fake accounts light the spark, real people fan the flames, and suddenly you've got a PR wildfire masquerading as public opinion. And Blake's team ran it like they were pitching a Netflix original strategy. But here's the dead giveaway. What kind of organic outrage campaign forgets the actual receipts? Where were Justin's supposed leaked emails? Especially the one where Blake allegedly wrote, "I can call my dragons." Sorry, what? That's not professional correspondence. That's a Comic-Con LARP gone rogue. If that's not a red flag, it's a giant inflatable one strapped to a fireworks display.